So I feel like we talk a lot about how to get the first gig, how to prep your gear, how to carry yourself at the gig, don't be a douche, practice, don't be a douche, all that fun stuff. But no one ever talks about how to get the second gig. How do you get the call back to come play again? In order to be a working drummer, that's something we all need to know how to do. You can't be a working drummer with one gig. You kind of have to have multiples. You got to fill up the calendar. You got to have people who want to call you again. Couple tips that I've learned in my gigging experience is stay in contact with somebody, whether that's the person who got you the gig in the band, the person you connected with the most at the gig in the group. Stay in contact. Be prepared for if they text you or when they text you. Reply quickly. Thank them for the gig afterwards. Say, hey, it was so much fun playing with you. Can't wait to do it again. Hit me up if you ever need another player. Stay in contact. Stay in someone's mind. Nothing is wrong with being thankful and being nice. A lot of times that'll get you a second gig on its own. Whether or not you did great, as long as you didn't train wreck. Just don't train wreck too. But being thankful, being nice. A lot of people just want people like that in their lives. Don't forget the set list. I'm notorious for forgetting set lists. A lot of bands in my area play the same set list, but they'll end the song completely different than the last group. Trying to remember how a certain group ends a song or what hits another group does and one doesn't, that can make a difference a lot of times. They don't have to worry about who they're calling, whether or not they're going to remember what they did last time or play it the exact same way, tempos and everything. Be someone that they don't have to babysit. Know the set list, write your charts. No one cares if you have to show up with charts. This is a one-off gig for you. No one expects you to have everything memorized necessarily for your local gig. It's okay to show up with an iPad and some charts written down or some notes on your phone. I can't stress this enough. Be ready. There's so many people I've talked to that are like, oh, I wish I could gig, but my stuff is all split up around people's houses and I can't get to it and everything. And it's like, then you don't want to gig. Have your stuff ready, tuned up. There was a time many years ago in college that I got a call for a gig literally 2 hours before we had to play. And luckily it was only Cajon and stuff and he had everything for me, but I didn't have a set list. I had never met this guy. I just had a location and a time. And so I got in my car and I went to play this gig. I had to be ready. I was ready and crushed the gig. We've been friends ever since. So many people are not ready and it makes you stand out if you are. Lastly, one thing to remember, it's not your gig. You are subbing most likely for someone else, or they're doing a little trial thing to see how you are. It's not your gig yet. Don't try to steal somebody else's gig. That's not what you're out here to do. You're not trying to be out here trying to outplay the person who normally plays the gig. You're just trying to show off who you are. You're trying to show them what you can bring to the table. And you want to be maybe a secondary option for them. Or if they really like you enough that they decide to go in that direction. You never know what somebody wants to do or what kind of things they have going on with their player, with their drummer. Enjoy the gig you have. Don't try to steal someone else's future gigs. There's enough for everybody out here. And who knows, maybe you played this one gig, this guy knows someone else who needs a drummer, and now you're playing for their friend instead. It can go in many directions, so don't try to steal someone else's gig. Just try to make gigs of your own. The second gig is sometimes always the hardest to get, but that's the one that tells us that we're worth people calling to give us more gigs. So, yeah. Worth to think about.